Hello everyone, here is more crystal clear. On screen, as you can see, I leveled them to at least level 60, except for one, because the starter always has to be the highest level. With that said, let's begin by stating some, no, come on. Okay. Let's talk about the Pokemon anime from back in the old days, the original series. Now, the original series was pretty much Johto and Kanto, more or less. Also, my favorite episode from the original series was the 47th episode of the Indigo Plateau season, so season 1. It was called A Chansey Operation. I watched it more than enough to say it's a favorite. Now as for Johto, that's a hard one because Johto was not my primary focus. I was always watching the original series. Johto was like what I pretty much skipped. That's why I like Gen 3 more than 2, because the only time I played Gen 2 was with Silver and the remakes, and I picked Hard Gold for the remakes. I did play the remakes for Gen 1. I had Leaf Green, my cousin had Fire Red. And I couldn't completely get the ability to, make the Elite Four teams have higher levels because I didn't know what to do. Until I got older, whenever I was using emulators to play the remakes, I wasn't able to know what should I do. So with that said, without that knowledge, I always didn't know about the passwords such as Goldeen Need Log or the other one that I don't remember. Then, Gen 2. Only thing I did in Gen 2 mostly was play the beginning of it. Whenever I had Silver, I never completed Gen 2 on the actual Game Boy or anything, according to my knowledge. But I have beaten Gen 1, of course. I remember the memories. I always had at least a Jolteon, and I always picked Venusaur, believe it or not. I just liked how derpy the sprites were back in the day. Favorite Gen 1 sprite is the Ivysaur sprite. The one where it says it doesn't stand on its hind legs. I think that's what the Pokédance entry said. I'm not sure if I'm 100% with that one. Then after that it's Golbat. I don't have a third or fourth. I didn't know about the Mew glitch until I became older. So, out of my knowledge, I didn't know nothing about Mew glitch whenever I first played Blue. All I knew is my battery was not one of those self-sufficient batteries where it will keep your save file. Oh no. It kept deleting my save file over time. You could save, yes, but you would have to redo everything if the save file goes away. So I always had to redo things, and I rarely ever picked the other starters. There was only a few times I picked Charmander and a few times I picked Blastoise, but I always picked Venusaur because of the fact that I was used to it. And that's why I still use it whenever I have the ability to in Gen 1. What else I can say? The reason why I was able to play Gen 3 as much was because my cousin gave me Pokemon Ruby, and I had Emerald, and I don't remember how I got Emerald. I played only Ruby and Emerald for Gen 3. I've never played the side games except for on the emulator, or if my friend would have gave me it. I did play a little bit of Sapphire because I had a friend that had Sapphire. But with that said, It was hard to try to trade back in the day because you needed a link cable. Some people don't know what that is. Some people do. The link cable was you had to have someone physically nearby that you could hook up a cable. It was a purple cable. That's the one that we had, or I should say my cousin had. And I rarely had the ability to trade because I didn't own my own link cable, so I always had to, try to get all my Pokemon to stay on the same game. Then Gen 4 came out and Pal Park was a thing, and the only problem with Pal Park is what was the problem with it? Didn't you have to take away your HMs that it learned? Also, you have to have at least a regular DS or DS Lite. If it's a DS that doesn't have that Game Boy Advance cartridge at the bottom, you're pretty much screwed, and you have to find an original DS, which were very bulky, or DS Lite, which was lighter but very small. I had a DSi, I had a DS Lite. I never had the original regular DS. My cousin did, but he got that years later. So I played every generation of Pokemon from Gen 1 through 7. Pretty much. That's all I can say, really. Oh yeah, the hardest Elite Four, in my opinion. I have the most trouble with Gen 7s, to be honest. That's sad to say, even though it shouldn't be Gen 7, but for some reason it froze. But for some reason Gen 7 is the one I have the most trouble with, because I'm not used to having a flying type Elite Four member. I'm used to the dragons, I'm used to all that, the water types, the ice types, everything else I'm used to, but I'm not used to the flying types. Were there any other Elite Four members that had flying? Actually, let me think about that. Gen 3, Gen 4. Gen 5, I don't really remember much about their Elite Four. No, I think Gen 7 is the only one with the flying type. Well, you got Gen 1 with Dragon, Gen 2 with Dragon, Gen 3 with Dragon, Gen 4 with... Gen 4 doesn't have Dragon. Gen 5, does it have Dragon? Does it have Dragon? I don't think Gen 5 has Dragon. Gen 6 has Dragon, Gen 7 doesn't. So that's the majority of the Elite Four members that have Dragon type as a main course meal, per se. At least one thing, you had Gen 1 that had ghost types, and there were not even enough ghost types to even talk about in Gen 1. There was only the Gengar line, and wasn't that it? Yeah, I think that was it. Dark has gotten Elite Four treatment, but it hasn't had a gym yet. I wouldn't count a trial as a gym if they did do that. So Dark type has not had a gym yet, even though it's been out since Gen 2. So what you gonna do? As soon as Fairy came out, they got a gym, but Dark has not gotten a gym. Hasn't every type gotten a gym? Wait a second. Did Ground get a gym? That's a good question. Did Ground ever get a gym? I wouldn't call Brock Ground type gym leader because he said his rock types. Gen 2 didn't have any ground. or Gen 3. Seriously, were there any ground type gym leaders unless Gen 6 did that? I wouldn't call Rock and Ground a ground type gym, even though the only rock types in Gen 1 were pretty much Rock and Ground, or the Apostle Pokemon. But that was not much to say. Rock type moves always had bad accuracy. Even you got your rock slide, you got your rock throws and everything. That was a random battle. I didn't have to battle you. Wow. What else? Gen 1. Well, I can tell you about every time I went through Gen 1 on the actual console. On an actual Game Boy. I had a SP. I used to have a Game Boy cover way back when, but I don't know what happened to it. But with that said, let's continue. As I said, I always picked Bulbasaur pretty much 90% of the time. Then after that, I sometimes got the Pidgeot, or the Pidgey that you get in Route 1. Sometimes I used to go to the route that was west of Viridian City to battle the rival if I had the levels to do so. If I didn't, then I'll just use his first Pokemon as a way to grind. The only problem with Gen 1 is they take half your money if you lose, or black out, I should say. At least since I'm talking, I don't have to speed this up. Whenever I got through Viridian Forest, I sometimes caught Pikachu, sometimes didn't. I never tried to really catch a Weedle or a Caterpie. Then whenever you get to Brock, I had the easiest chance because of me picking a Bulbasaur. Also, I like to point out, I'll make another video after this, the same game. As I was saying, after Viridian, after Pewter City, the hardest thing I could deal with at the time was whenever you had to face the second gym leader, Misty, and due to her having that Stormy, it was great having to black out so many times just to beat her. And you only really had like 3 Pokemon if you were me, because you didn't really care about any of the first few Pokemon you see. My first real Pokemon I really cared about after starter was Eevee, really, because back then I loved Jolteon, as you can still see. I still love it because I got one in his team right now. And after that, there's not much to say what other Pokemons I picked. All I can say is, it was always fun to just play with just a Jolteon and Venusaur. I had more. I remember one time I had a Dragonite on my team, but that was the only time I think I ever did that, because of the fact that you have to level it all the way to level 55 just to get a Dragonite, which I didn't know because I didn't have a guide. This was just pure, you go out into the grass and you deal with it yourself. There was no hand holding. Those were the good days. Even Gen 2 doesn't have that much hand holding. When did this hand holding crap come out? That's how I always remembered it. You start out without, being handheld, being told what you should do and what you shouldn't do. You know what I'm talking about if you ever played Gen 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I think that's when they started. I think that's the ones that don't really hold you as much as Gen 6 and 7 did. But that's how I always would remember it. Don't ever, the hand holding got very tedious whenever I started Gen 7. As soon as I started Gen 7, I was like, oh my lord, I had to deal with all this text. In Gen 1, all you had to do was just walk in some grass, and then the professor sees you, and then you'd be took to his lab. Then, after that, you get a Pokemon, whatever your choice. Now, here's the easy mode. The easy mode is Bulbasaur, medium is Squirtle, hard is Charmander. Everybody knows Charmander's hard. The reason why I say grass and poison is the easy route is the fact that the first gym is rock and ground, pretty much, because ground types and rock types were all there were. Not really much to say. Then your second gym was water, which is weak to grass. Then electric, which is not very effective against grass types. Then grass types are not very effective against themselves, and also you had an added poison type. So if they did a grass type move, it did 1/4 of the damage. Then you have the fifth gym, which is poison, and since you're a part poison type with your Bulbasaur being a Venusaur, it should be a Venusaur by now. You don't have to worry about the poison. Then you get to the 6th gym leader. That's when it gets difficult. 6 and 7 are pretty much your stall. Pretty much is going to be where everything slows down. But I never had a problem with the 6 gyms or the 7. 6 gym is Psychic, 7 is Fire. But I always had something to always counteract it. I don't know what I used to do. But I remember one thing. I always had Razor Leaf on a Venusaur because I love the animations. All these animations from Gen 1 were memories. The sound effects and everything. What else is there to say? And the 8th gym is random, I think. And then Gen 2 is Dragon. Yeah, Gen 2 has dragons in the Elite Four because of Lance. So it has dragons in the gym leaders in it. Wow. Wow, has that ever happened? Has that ever happened in the Elite Four ever since Gen 2? Were there ever 2 of the same types in the Elite Four? No, one of the same types in the Elite Four in the gym. That's a good question. What is there else to talk about in Gen 1? Let's see. For my flying type, sometimes I had a Spearow. I remember having a Spearow once. That was not much to talk about. I used to always trade a Spearow for that Farfetch. I think that's how it goes. Not always, but sometimes. The Psychic type, I always try to catch that Kadabra that you get after you beat the game in Cerulean Cave. But at the time, I didn't know you had to trade to evolve it. So, that was nice. Didn't even have the link cable then too, so that was freaking nice. I didn't even have Pokemon Stadium back then. I didn't get that until like I was 7 or 8. I have the original Pokemon Stadium, not the second one. It's just sitting there collecting dust right now. I used to play the mess out of the mini games whenever I was younger. It was fun. It was very fun. That was a good pastime. I remember one time my aunt gave me some pears while I was playing Pokemon Stadium. And the Pokemon I had out was an Omastar. Yeah, I didn't have any Pokemon that were from my Gen 1 games because I don't know what happened to my Pokemon Blue copy. So I don't know where it's at. It's probably in the old house we used to live in. For all I know, probably gone, sold, whatever. But that's pretty much memory lane mostly for me. If there's something else I need to remember. I sometimes evolve usually to the other types if I was curious. My second favorite out of the Gen 1 ones was Vaporeon. So you obviously know what's his last, Flareon. Because I didn't really care about Flareon at the time. If I didn't have Charizard lines as a fire type, the fire type I had chose was that's a good question. Did I have Ponyta or did I have Vulpix? I played blue version. Also, I had played yellow too, but that was later on whenever I was like 7 or 8. I remember one time I kept the game on all night and I didn't know, and somehow, some way, I didn't save, by the way. Somehow, some way, the game was still on. It was the thing was red, as in it was about to die, but it didn't die. So I woke up in time, and then I charged it. I was one of them people that always charged with the thing on. So yeah. Let's see, are there any more trainers? Yep. I wasn't one of them people that wanted to catch them all because I just wanted to get through the game from point A to point B. And I just did it the easiest way I knew how. Had a Jolteon, had a Bulbasaur. I don't remember pretty much the other team members I mostly picked. I sometimes got a Nidoqueen. I didn't care too much for Nidoking, but I cared more about Nidoqueen. That was another one. I remember one time I ran out of PP and I had to use Struggle. That was nice. It wasn't during the fight when you had to play against Agatha. I can admit that. At least I wasn't, stuck. So those were my main 3. I don't remember the other 3. I just mostly just broke through the game with my starter. Trying to remember if I ever caught anything else really. I didn't really care for Golduck back then either. So, and also once I caught Mewtwo, I pretty much went through the Elite Four without trying. Because Gen 1's Mewtwo is more broken than Gen 6's, what they call it, Rayquaza, Quasar, whatever. What else is there to say? Yeah, pretty much Pokemon was my childhood mostly. If I wasn't playing that, I was playing the old Nintendo systems. What else? Since we're talking in generations, Gen 1 was the second most amount of time I spent on, I think, and then it's Gen 3 that was first. Gen 7 was third, then Gen 5 was fourth. Gen 6 was fifth. Gen 2 is last, I can tell you that now. Because the furthest I got in Gen 2 mostly was the second gym, so I didn't know the pain of losing to Whitney that much. That was nice. I didn't have to really go through that. And she was still a pain in the remakes, I will admit that. Whenever I got Heart Gold Soul Silver, I had a male Quilava, pretty much a male team. And as soon as you get to that male tank, it was a problem because rock is weak, fire is weak to rock. And with that said, and then you had the ability to get attract. So that was nice. That was the only time I really got through that torture. So the best thing you could do is just try to get a burn on it and let it dwindle away with its HP while it uses rollout. Let's see, what else? Gen 5 was the easiest it was the easiest route to getting your level 100s. Is that how Machamp is supposed to look? It looks too gray. Gen 5, Black 2, White 2. The only thing I pretty much did in them was that, what they call it? The joint avenue or whatever. You know, that hallway where you can set up everything and make them little shops in the middle. I used to spend a lot of time on that because I used to use that as a way to get all my Pokemon to level 100 as fast as possible. Because they had this thing where they level up the Pokemon for you, so that was great. It was amazing. I got it very far too. Kept trying to level it as much as I could just to have the ability to level up everything to level 100. But if, let's be honest though, if this was a normal Gen 1, no, Gen 2 game, I will admit one thing, I will have the Jolteon. That's one Pokemon that will be there. The only problem is what it learns. It doesn't learn Thunderbolt. And it hurts me. It hurts me that you don't learn Thunderbolt normally. Because freaking early generations sucked with learn sets. Unless you were Pikachu. That was great favoritism right there. So, if I was playing this as a normal Gen 2 thing, Jolteon would be one of them. This whole team wouldn't be the team we have. It's just the team I could get the quickest. You heard me from the earlier videos where I was trying to look for a fire type. Hungry. At least he's not sick. I only did this for the experience and to see if he was sick. I thought he wasn't sick. Oh crap. Oh. Okay. What was the point in putting that there? If you are right there. Alright, so this is where you actually have to fall. I knew nothing about glitches in Gen 1. I just played through the game without even knowing anything about glitches. It was just great. The only problem I had was whenever it said the Pokeball missed the Pokemon. That means, you know what that means. Everybody knows what that means. You play Gen 1. That only happens in Gen 1, by the way. Now it just pops out. There was no missed Pokemon or anything. So my favorite things about Gen 1, some of the derpy sprites, the sound effects I used to hear. Also, the journey, actually. It was fun, always going through Gen 1. I never got bored of Gen 1, actually. I played it probably over enough to say a lifetime. If I wasn't playing Gen 1, I was playing Gen 3. I think I had both of them at the same time. It was a great experience. Freaking figuring out that the only psychic type really doesn't evolve unless you trade. That was nice to figure out as a freaking culture shock for me. It was freaking nice to figure out. I'm still mad about that. I hate trade evolutions. Like, I have a Porygon Z in my Gen 7 game. I had to ask someone from Canada to help me get that. I don't feel like asking someone from who knows where to help me evolve a Pokemon. Also, I had to trust someone that I didn't know anything about to help me evolve a Gourgeist. Or should I say, what they call them? Pumpkaboo. It was the bigger kind of Pumpkaboo, The biggest one that you can get. The one that has the most HP base. And I'll tell you now, at least my trust was well worth it because I got it back. That's why I don't like trade evolutions like that. And then I have an Accelgor, and the only problem with that is it doesn't have the max IVs for the max speed. And that was great. That's why I hate trade evolutions. If you don't get that perfect IVs, if you're one of them people, it's demoralizing. All I did pretty much was speak about the past of what I experienced and enjoyed. And we can talk about the anime too. I love the Gen 1 and oh my lord. Alright. I enjoyed the Gen 1 anime because of the fact that it's what started everything. I enjoyed the theme song a lot. That was memory lane. Every time I hear it, I get nostalgia for it. It was great. It was amazing. I didn't really watch much of Gen 2 as a kid until I didn't watch Gen 2's episodes till I got older. Gen 3 is whenever I started seeing how Pokemon was and everything, even though it was supposed to end after Gen 2. Then after Gen 3, I pretty much watched a little bit more of the anime. The only problem was there was a time where the anime came on at like 6 in the morning. Now let's be honest, on every Friday night, do you know one kid that wouldn't stay up late on a Friday night if they don't have any homework or anything? Do you know any kid that would want to stay up as long as they could? Because then you have to figure out that this was Gen 4's anime too, by the way. Having to wake up so early just to watch Gen 4's anime. That sucked. And it's the weekend, and I didn't know anything about it till I saw it that one morning. And then after that I was like, oh lord. That sucked. Then I found out that Pokemon actually started putting episodes on their website, and then I found another way to watch them too. These wild encounters, they're gonna ruin this. Can I get a Cianwood City in peace? Alright. The main water type I picked in Gen 1 was, that's a good question actually. What water Pokemon did I use mostly in Gen 1, and if it wasn't Vaporeon, and wasn't the starter, it wasn't Slowbro's line at all. I know that one for a fact. I might actually have to look at a list and see what I used to use. Seriously. I remember that one time I had a Magikarp and I got at level 20 and I was shocked at what it became, because I didn't know nothing about what evolves into what yet. Too young to understand any of that. All I knew was what was super effective, what worked. That's it. That's how it should be. That's how it should be, but it's not. Oh, we're in Cianwood City. That's nice. Where's the Pokemon Center? That's the first thing we're looking for right now. Okay, now let's see how freaking broken their levels are now, because we saw Ho-Oh last episode, and that's not a spoiler by now. If you watch this this far, that's not a spoiler. At least they're shorter than most of these videos I have. So yes, Pokemon Crystal Clear is going to be my 200th video, not this one, the next one. All I gotta say is, it was nice. Now you see why I leveled them off screen. Level 59. I really wish you had Thunderbolt. This sucks. Thundershock has the PP, but it doesn't do much. See? You'll survive this mega kick, but you won't survive okay. That only did 76. Alright, I don't think any of them can learn another move right now. So after this, we're gonna go to the 6th gym. And no, I'm not leveling them off screen. Hitmonchan. They're both level 59, I bet, yep. Yeah, it's sad when your Shadow Ball does more than your Thunder Shock, and Thunder Shock is stab. So yeah, every time I had that Jolteon, I had to manually learn the Thunderbolt. And I didn't know it didn't learn the Thunderbolt, didn't have the ability to learn Thunderbolt naturally. So now that I know that, makes you wonder, did they start learning it in Gen 3 naturally? If they did, then that's a fact check. A big fact check. Took y'all 3 generations to figure out that it's a electric type and it should have Thunderbolt just like Pikachu does. Alright, let's let the Psychic types thrive. Even though you're the only Psychic type I have that has a Psychic type move. That is depressing to say. You have a Psychic and Flying type, and the only thing it could learn in terms of Psychic, as I saw, was freaking Future Sight. Oh boy, that sucked. And I didn't even learn it as you can see. Because Future Sight is one of those moves that don't hit till like later on. So you have to survive, pretty much. The only thing I hate about Psybeam is the fact that it's not a Psychic move. You know what I mean, it's not Psychic. As in, it doesn't do as much. But at least it confuses to make up for it. Almost been a one-hit wonder. At least you avoided getting hit. I hope Jasmine's gym doesn't have anything, because Steel types are going to be the hardest type we deal with, besides the Dragon types. Because I don't have anything that's weak to Steel types. Gross Chop only has 5 PP, so that's not saying much. Then you have that's neutral. Then you have let's see, here's the list of all the Steel types of Gen 2. You have Magnemite, Magneton, you have Steelix, you have Scizor, you have Fortress. What they all have in common, and Squamry too. What they all have in common, they're all weak to fire. All of them are weak to fire. 2 of them are neutral to ice. And 2 of them are 4 times weak to fire. So that tells you, if I had a fire type move, this would be over. But seeing as I don't, this is gonna be great. Going through six Pokemon with no ability to use a fire type move. But they better not have any trainers in there for her. There's no trouble. I'm dealing with all these primates and all these Hitmonlees and all that. I just hope you don't have a random legendary like Morty did. I think Morty only had that because of the fact that I have 7, let's see, 4 plus 8, that's 12. I had 11 gym badges, now I have 12 right now. So yeah, I played Gen 1 on the actual Game Boy, completed it. Never beaten Gen 2 on the console. I've beaten Gen 3 on one, Gen 4, 5, 6, 7. I beat them all. Except for Gen 2. That's the only one I have never beaten on an actual Game Boy or any kind of handheld console. I have played Coliseum, by the way. I never played Pokemon Coliseum XD, Gale of Darkness, whatever. I don't know how that goes. I played Coliseum though, and Coliseum has some great music. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I love the fact that I had an Espeon, and that's where the love for the Espeon started. Because I didn't know that you needed to evolve it by having happiness during the day. These were back in the times where both P and I would have been helpful for me. Hopefully you can try to solo this whole thing by yourself. If you do, you deserve a cookie. You one-hit primates, but you can't one-hit Machamps. Ugh. Ursaring. There's our first outlier. Not a fighting type, but it's a normal type. Thankfully there's no abilities in Gen 2. Cross chop, please hit. I said please hit, not miss. Be a crit, please. Normal. It's around just normal, regular run-of-the-mill damage. Confusion, please do enough just to knock it out. Thank you. Poliwrath. Yeah, I leveled Jolteon enough. So all I know is if Jasmine has a Skarmory, I won't have as much problems. But if she has a Scizor or a Fortress, I will. That 50% chance, and it doesn't hit, thankfully. And it's a 100% chance to confuse, I think. Just like Zap Cannon, one of the strongest moves, but it has half the accuracy. Zap Cannon instantly causes the Pokemon to be paralysis, in a state of paralysis. As for Dynamic Punch, automatically confuses. Unless in later generations you have the ability to not be confused. So he has two normal types, so you're not really a fighting type gym. Because you're not supposed to have these normal types right here. Oh ho ho, you cheat. At least you knocked it out, even though it did less than the first time you hit it, it did less than that. Chuckle. Did that thing just say chuckle? This is the first official time I can say the gym leader had a Pokemon that has a different name. All I know is Chuckle is weak in terms of attack, but his defense, as you can see, is staggering. I was like, Chuckle. Psybeam, if anything you do, just cause it to have confusion. That's why I keep using it, just for the confusion. And Rollout is the best move for Chuckles, because they don't have much attack anyway. And it finally missed. He could have stalled this even longer if he would have healed. That was a stall battle. Machamp, at least you don't have a legendary. 61, I want 62, okay. Now, you can automatically win if you give me a crit physical Psybeam, but you're not gonna do that. What's with them and Dynamic Punch? I bet you that's the TM I'll get. It's gonna be Dynamic Punch, and you know it. And I don't look forward to that, because I don't care for it. Yep, you lost. I didn't have to redo it. I had to redo the fourth gym, but I didn't have to redo the fifth one. That's nice. I wonder what that will be. That's dynamic punch. That's nice. Yeah, it has a 50-50 chance. Yep. As I've said, it doesn't always hit. 50-50 chance. That's what I mean. Okay. I'm tired of all these phone calls. Alright, since we accomplished a lot, we're gonna end this one here. So with that, this is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.